Welcome to Deep Thought. Supersoldiers on the horizon. And this ain't really related to what I was talking about yesterday. Well, sometimes everything ain't going to be a week-long series. Well, not totally connected. But, as I was thinking about doing the one on all these dark superheroes, I was thinking to myself, I'm seeing stuff here and there about possible super soldiers. Like, some Captain America type of guys and stuff. Now, according to many, especially those maybe in like UFO or conspiracy type of communities, they're already here. They already here. They've been exist. Indeed, you get a lot of guys, a lot of people who say they were super soldiers. But, I take it with a grain of salt because mysteriously they can't seem to access their abilities. I'm just saying. But, I was thinking about all the work that's been done, just to develop human beings, better human beings, because there's a lot of drugs. I mean, like speed, something like speed. Let me use that for an example. That was actually used by, during wartime, past war times, by pilots just to stay awake. Just to stay awake. And then if you look at something like steroids, and then, we've come a long way as far as genetics and like really doing genetic splicing and everything. And then again, there's just old-fashioned genetic stuff. Say if you get two superior athletes who are also intelligent and you say, hey, y'all have some babies, boom. Like just on a like basic level, because there's always been something about creating better. And of course, let's be real. Let's say hypothetically. I'm going to say hypothetically because I don't know. Because if I did know, trust me, I'd be talking about something else right now. So for those who are paid to follow me, I really don't know. I'm just talking. All right? So get to tap off my phone. Y'all know I don't do anything but just go to Buffalo Wing places. But who's to say there isn't? I want y'all to think about it. Who's to say there isn't? Because, okay, let me use one example of something that we take for granted now, but that was already in existence. The internet. The internet. The mouses that we use for people who still use laptops and computers. A lot of this technology we have now was already in existence. Look up the defense, what is that? The defense applications and research. You know what? I forgot what it's called. DARPA. Just look up DARPA. I forgot what the exact stuff stand for now because I'm just so used to calling them DARPA. And let's just say I've seen some technology used recently that, I had heard about that was coming out of DARPA. But you look at just a lot of stuff. See, there's a lot of technology that's just not put on the public market yet. A lot of regular technology. Now, okay, you got this technology. Who's to say they haven't made a breakthrough in genetic engineering? They can already edit genes and everything, and then selective breeding, stuff of that nature. And they can do that now. Indeed, let me hit you something. This might be this will be racially sensitive. There are strong arguments that, in general, black people were selectively bred during the prisoner of war period, otherwise known as slavery. In fact, there was a sports commentator. He was famous until he said this back in the late 80s, who said, these black athletes are so big and fast and everything because during slavery, the big black man was mated with the big black woman. And ironically, nobody black got mad at him when he said that. It was like, oh, yeah. It was mainly whites who got mad. But that was a big hoo-ha. But, I mean, just the reality of slavery, there was a lot of conscious mating. I mean, they were seen as animals. And they do that with horses. Like, if you get a horse that wins the Kentucky Derby or wins a Triple Crown, they are mated. they purposely made it. And of course, they do that in the dog fields. Who's to say they haven't done that with some human beings, maybe on a clandestine level? Who said they stopped? Just because something isn't advertised. And then you get other technology, other medical advances, and that they're telling us about now. Like, technically, we already got cyborgs now. Now, whether or not they could, like, bench press a Buick or something, that's something else. But we already have that now. We already have that. And, you have reports of people working on interfaces between a human brain and computer software and everything. Who's to say somebody couldn't create that? In fact, you have a movement that's focused on that transhumanism. They've been quiet lately. Nobody's talked about them, but just because somebody doesn't talk about something doesn't mean that they're still not around. It just means people aren't talking about them. See, one thing real quick, a lot of media is just supposed to be distracting. Meanwhile, some of the main stuff, you either have to know something or really dig deep to find it. So I'm bringing up all that to say, who's to say super soldiers aren't on the horizon? Indeed, that could be part of the reason why we're getting all this superhero stuff, like superheroes killing. What if the future isn't about like these people in mainstream armies fighting each other, but super soldiers fighting? I mean, indeed, for example, at least in the United States, if people really look at a lot of combat that's done overseas, the few times that they actually admit to some stuff, a lot of it is conducted by special forces. Now, these are technically not genetically engineered superheroes or anything like that, or supermen, but they are highly trained. I put them in the peak human category because the training to even become a part of something like the SEALs is incredible. The training to become a part of the SEALs or Delta Force or some other stuff that isn't quite talked about. I mean, they are trained to become peak. Now, that's just one level. I mean, you're talking about soldiers, they could fight it for a week and only sleep maybe a few hours. They actually train to do that in a week. So who's to say somebody hasn't come up with something more? Some maybe technology or something where they don't have to sleep at all or their strength is automatically increased. I mean, look at steroids. People can increase their strength. Yeah, there's some side effects, but who's to say they haven't come up with some pill or something that can increase it more? Indeed, speaking of pills, there was that movie Limitless where, the main character, I forgot what his name was, but played by Bradley Cooper. All he did was take a pill and all of a sudden he could just figure out stuff. And that's a powerful thing. Who's to say that hasn't been created? Or what's to say someone with that type of ability, what they could do? And who's to say putting out that movie is just testing the waters? Now, that's something to think about because, look, I'm going to tell you something now. What I do know, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of people out there, they're quite on another level. Like, anyway, indeed, we publicly hear about psychics and people like that, but the government actually had a program. Well, they might still have it. They officially disbanded it, where they were bringing in psychics and having them do stuff. Who's to say it isn't there? And that's what we know about. That's what's been able to free. But one thing about the government, there's a lot of security clearances. And the media, despite everything, doesn't have access to everything. Or if they do get access, okay, here's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, they managed to run into accidents. And that gets into some other stuff. You notice I'll go only so far. Brother likes his life. But it's all something to think about. Do we have super soldiers on the horizon? So anyway, that's all I have for today. You know what I do on this channel. I just get people to think. All right? Anyway, I'll talk to y'all. Peace and blessings.